Turn it over to Kim Castro. Good morning, Kim. What's on tap for today?
Hey, good morning. Day, though it's not as fresh. We're sitting at 78 degrees right now at Bush Intercontinental Airport. This is a 4-degree jump up from yesterday. Feels like 80 degrees with the humidity. It's also not going to be as clear today. We do have that big Saharan plume right on top of us today and tomorrow. But the good news with that is it drops our rain chances. So we're only looking at between a 30 to 40% chance for a spotty shower today and tomorrow. Rain chances do climb back up for the weekend, so take advantage of the drier forecast to run some errands today. This is what it's looking like on Future Track. Right around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, storms are going to start to blossom and they're going to drift eastward. That's where the moisture is going, into Louisiana. We have this drier flow from the southwest that continues into your Friday, and Friday even less of a rain chance, very isolated. That means those Friday night plans, Jen, head to the weekend are looking nice.
All right, Kim. Early, but maybe depends on the kid.
Let other people try it, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the teens will be the coolest. So they're like, yeah, it's a good one. You guys should come and try
That's right.
it.
It has to be a really responsible kid, in my opinion.
Yeah. Who knows? Any heat today, we're going to have what's called evapotranspiration. So that moisture starts evaporating, and it is going to hover all around us. So today's a day that so far this morning, it's not bad, but once we get the sun to come up and the daytime heating, oh, you'll notice it. 78 degrees right now at IAH. It feels like 80 everywhere else. The actual temperature feels like the heat index, with the exception, of course, the gateway to the moisture, which is Galveston. 83 degrees already feels like 94. Today's big weather headline is that we have the Saharan dust overhead. That might be the cause of some scratchy throats out there. It'll be the cause of a hazy skyline, but it'll also be the reason why we have decreased rain chances, and we will take it. So this afternoon, we are still tracking the chance for a couple of scattered storms, but notice it is a lot less than what we've seen the last couple of days, and these are actually drifting towards Louisiana. That's where the moisture source is. We are quiet for this evening, quiet for tomorrow morning, a few more isolated showers tomorrow afternoon, but that's it. The next 2 days look wonderful. How about the next 3? Well, then the moisture starts building back in. So we're looking at a high of 94 degrees for today with a 40% rain chance. We drop the rain chance to 30% for tomorrow, crank up the heat a little bit more. 96 is your high for your Friday. And then Saturday, some more scattered storms in the afternoon, increasing that rain chance back up to 60%. So here's what's happening. Right now we're wedged in between 2 high pressure areas. So we do still have the potential for storms, in fact, increasing Saturday and Sunday. But by next week, this big ridge of high pressure dome sits right on top of us, and that is what closes the faucet. We decrease those rain chances for good next week. So that'll be a nice long stretch where we don't have to worry about afternoon storms. Saturday snapshot, though, looks like this, in case you were trying to figure out what you're going to do this weekend. Think indoor plans, or think being flexible, carrying an umbrella definitely, even into 713 days. Sunday is also going to feature a couple of afternoon storms. And then as the heat dome builds, it's pretty easy to see it on extended Future Track. There's storms all around us, but we are protected under that heat dome, so we are not going to be seeing significant rain chances as we go into next week. So here's a break chances for the weekend, and then they do drop off into next week. Saharan dust is our friend. We continue to see no development in the Atlantic Basin over the next 2 to 7 days. All right, here's the whole forecast put together. Right now, pretty low rain chances with that Saharan dust, a little bit of a hazy sky. The weekend features more storm chances, 60% both days, and then next week, it's really all about the heat, Jen. Those storms, I don't think you're going to notice much activity, but the heat, oh yeah, you'll be feeling that.
Let's pivot to weather. Kim Castro, more rain today.
You know, we've got a couple to show you that the wet weather pattern is shifting east. So for rescue efforts, for crews that are out helping in central Texas, no afternoon storms today. So really happy to see that. For us, we've got a couple of scattered storms this afternoon, but they're not going to be very disruptive. In fact, what I am tracking for us is a very hot and humid even a hazy day because of that Saharan dust. That's also what's lowering our rain chances today into Friday. Now this weekend, we do start to see the storm chances make a return, but they're not going to be as impactful as they were the last couple of days. We had some heavy downpours yesterday, about 5 inches clocked in for Porter Heights. Cleveland had a downpour as well, 3 inches there. Overall, the coverage yesterday was pretty good. You had a good chance that you got a soaking. Today, those rain chances really drop off, Jen. So I think an eye pocket could get maybe an inch, but most of us are just going to see trace amounts.
All right, and when we have dry road, Castro, how strong are the chances of rain today?
You know, today and tomorrow, thanks to some Saharan dust. But you know what's not going to be going anywhere is the heat. In fact, we're going to be pretty hot this afternoon, about 5 degrees hotter than where we were yesterday. So find your neighborhood. If you live in the Heights, you're going to make it up to 96 degrees for today. If you're in Woodgate, your high temperature today pushes a little bit, though. That's the drawback. 94 degrees right now for your high temperature in Katy. Not waking up this morning. That would be problematic. 94 for Sugar Land, and League City makes it up to 93. Now, I did mention we still have a chance for a downpour. The highest likelihood of you getting caught in that afternoon storm is going to peak right at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But even still, I think most of us are going to stay dry today. Notice the coverage is way, way less than it was yesterday. Now, could we see an isolated area pick up an inch, maybe 2? Yes, but that's going to be the exception today, not the rule. Here's what Future Track is showing us. We've got a couple storms bubbling up east of I-45 and then pushing closer towards Louisiana, and that could linger until about maybe 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. The rest of your Thursday night is quiet. Friday, the rain chance is even less. I mean, you saw that, a couple specks on the map, and that is it. Very, very far cry from what we saw yesterday and even the day before. The coverage was there. We definitely saw those disruptive afternoon storms. Now, what's taking its place is this drier air mass, and it is because of the dust that's been traveling through the Atlantic basin. So that keeps us pretty quiet today into tomorrow. It keeps us quiet for the next 7 days in the Atlantic basin. I am not tracking tropical development, so that's another upside to the dust. Notice, though, we do have to watch for a couple of scattered storms this weekend. Rain chances hike back up to 60%. The reason being, we're still wedged between these two areas of high pressure, and there's this trough right here. So that scoops up the moisture, keeps us unsettled for the weekend, but then high pressure takes center stage, and that means we have dry, sinking air, compressional heating that is going to kick up temperatures and drop our rain chances. So that's our snapshot Saturday, unsettled. Sunday, same thing, carry an umbrella with you. Make alternate plans if you were thinking of going to the park. Might not be the best afternoon for the park. But on Monday, check it out. Storms around us, but we're protected by that dome of high pressures. So the rain chances really scale back this coming week, just at 20 to 30%. For today, it's up 40%, so fewer storms than yesterday, but they're still around. Notice this weekend, 60% chance for storms. Temperatures drop a little bit from that rain-cooled air. Now, as those rain chances drop off, the opposite. So it's an opposite act, Jen. When we've got higher rain chances, we have slightly less heat, and next week, I think the heat is going to be the big talker.
Trading off one for the other. Kim Castro, we've been dealing with a wet weather pattern for days now. When is the next dry day?
Yeah, so not, but less stormy than where we've been the last couple of days. Starting off on your Thursday, we are already warmer, 79 degrees at IAH, a 5-degree temperature jump from yesterday. It feels like 82 with the humidity, partly cloudy skies. We are going to see that Saharan dust this afternoon. The skyline a little bit milky, but that is going to suppress the amount of moisture that's in the atmosphere. So fewer storms for your Thursday, even more isolated into your Friday, but that means the heat is going to crank up some. 96 your high temperature today in the Heights, San Antonio, Gulf Crest, same thing there. Aldine 96, Woodgate 97, pushing closer to the triple digits at this point. Jacinto City 96. Downtown, you're going to make it to 96 as well. It is going to be a hot day across southeast Texas. If you're headed to the island, 87 degrees in Galveston, but with the humidity, it feels closer to 105 this afternoon. Okay, this is what the rain is going to look like on radar. you are going to see a couple of isolated downpours, but most of this energy is pushing east. So I'm thinking if you travel along the East Freeway, Baytown East Freeway, those are the areas that might be a little bit slower commuting back home from work.
Okay, Christine and Kim, we were just talking about this in the break. You can get into depth about what exactly Flood Alley is. We've been hearing that throughout the week.
Yeah, so what I see about why Central Texas is an area that is very prone to this kind of a disaster, just because of the way the topography is set up, just the way it's positioned too. It gets moisture from the Pacific and from the Gulf. So both of those factors really contribute to the vulnerability of Central Texas. Now, this afternoon for us, at least we are wrapping up some of that moisture. We're closing the valve on how much available potential precipitation we can have. So the rain chance today drops to 40%. That high temperature, though, starts cranking up a little bit more. We're looking at highs in the low to even to mid 90s, and all of that has to do with the Saharan dust that's going to be overhead. So it'll give you a little bit of a hazy sky this afternoon. I do still have a potential for one or two isolated heavier downpours. Most of this energy, though, is going to focus east of downtown. So if you commute to or from the refineries, I think that's going to be a little bit of a slow go for you between 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Then the rest of the evening is pretty quiet. Waking up tomorrow, it's nice and mild. In the afternoon, notice the coverage really scales back again. A couple of isolated stray showers possible, but most of the area is going to stay dry for the next 2 days. That's a snapshot of our afternoons. You'll notice not a ton of moisture there. Saturday and Sunday, rain chances do hike back up, and that is only going to be momentary. So as we head into next week, we are going to see high pressure built in, and the rain chances actually drop off much more significantly. So today, still look out for an isolated downpour until 4 o'clock, but notice a lot of us are going to stay pretty dry. Some bullseye spots could pick up maybe 1 inch to 2 inches, but that's going to be the exception, not the rule. Compare that to yesterday, where most of us actually got hit with a downpour at some point throughout the day. It's a pretty significant difference. It's all because of that Saharan dust, which, by the way, also helps out the tropics. I am not tracking any development expected over the next 2 to 7 days there. Now, like I mentioned, rain chances are going to go up and down a little bit, so still have your umbrella in the car. And the reason is because of the upper level pattern. So we've got 2 high pressure areas between us, and that keeps this trough right over Houston. So we're still unsettled, at least through the rest of this week. As high pressure builds in next week, that is when the pattern does change a little bit. We're going to notice that instead of having these afternoon rounds of storms like we will see Saturday and Sunday, the storms hug us, is what we call ridge runners. So the ridge is right on top of us. The stormy weather rides along this area of high pressure, and we see dry sinking air. That dry sinking air takes us from the low 90s this weekend. We're going to be at 92 Saturday, 92 Sunday, into the mid and upper 90s by next week, Jen. We are going to be tracking, I think we might see some triple digits around town next week for sure.
All right. All about this area's flood risk. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Jen, traveling out west, that's something we hear about Tornado Alley constantly, but Flash Flood Alley, this area of Central Texas, holds a ginormous risk that we can never forget. First and foremost, this area gets hit with both directions by Pacific and Gulf moisture. The terrain, it being hill country, also makes it incredibly susceptible. First and foremost, we get a lot of lifting force, so when we get thunderstorms, they can train. And of course, it creates this valley of a bunch of waterways. So there's that big runoff risk. And once that water runs off, the soil depth is super shallow. So there's not a lot of absorption. What's underneath is lime rock. So all of that water runs off. When we get a lot of moisture and rain in the forecast, this is a huge concern. So I am very happy to see the rain chance for this afternoon, 0, completely drops off for Central Texas. Now, we still have about a 40% chance for some scattered storms, but I think the majority of this moisture moves into Louisiana. Here's a snapshot of 4 o'clock in the afternoon for us. So a couple of downpours, but mainly a problem for the East Freeway. I think downtown could see some moderate rain, but that's really it. Today we're tracking a lot of Saharan dust, and that is what keeps us mostly dry for today and tomorrow. Now, it is going to irritate your throat, though. The dust is out there. So is the pollen. I mean, this really puts season of sneezing to the max. High mold spores, moderate weeds, at least low grasses, and I am not tracking any tree pollen. We'll be right back after this break.
Kim Castro, what can we expect for the rest of the week? And it's a good dog walking weather.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. The dogs with the belly ups waiting for the rub. Oh my God. Morning. Okay. Let's get back to it. What I am tracking for this afternoon, a hot day, it's a humid day, and it's going to be hazy. We've got that Saharan dust overhead. In fact, waking up this morning, you can already tell it's a milky skyline that sticks around throughout the afternoon. The good thing with that is, though, it lowers our rain chances. Dusty air is drier air. So we still have a couple scattered storms, but you'll see it's going to be a lot better than what yesterday was like. Then storms do make a return for the weekend. Let's take you through future track. Quiet start to the day. Storms start to bubble up during the peak heating of the afternoon, so 3 to around 5 o'clock. You'll notice most of the energy, though, is going to be east of I-45, headed towards the refineries, even as far north as Spring, but otherwise tracking out towards Liberty and then eventually getting to Lake Charles, pushing towards Louisiana. Quiet for tonight, quiet for tomorrow, and then tomorrow afternoon, the storm talking about. Bush Airport right now, 79 degrees. It feels like 82. Look at Galveston. 83 waking up this morning, feels like 94 on the island. High temperatures today do push into the mid-90s. Area-wide, a couple spots want to get close to the triple digits. Copperfield, Woodgate, I'm talking to you. You're looking at a high of 97 degrees in your neighborhood. Montrose, 96. The Heights also tops off at 96, and Atascocita 95. So it's really more about the heat today than it is about the downpours. This is a snapshot of the next 5 days. So pretty low end rain chances today and tomorrow. I think we hike up the rain chances, though, Saturday into Sunday. We're still wedged between these two areas of high pressure, and right smack dab in the middle is this trough. Trough is a lifting force. So whatever moisture we've got in the Gulf, it lifts it up, and what goes up must come down. So we do have a couple downpours into the weekend, but that gives way to high pressure next week. That heat dome on top of us limits the rain potential and does crank up those temperatures. So we are looking at a drier forecast next week, with the trade-off is the heat's going to kick up too. Saturday snapshot, scattered storms around Houston. Sunday snapshot, pretty similar. Now look at how that changes, though, as we go into the coming work week. Now we have the heat dome on top of us. Now we have ridge runners that are hugging, Jen loves that word, hugging the area of high pressure, but not on top of us. So here's the bottom line. We've got some isolated storms today, tomorrow. Rain chances a little higher for this weekend, and then a lot lower for next week, with the heat taking center stage, Jen.
All right, Kim.
Here's what I'm tracking for you. Today is hot, humid, and it's hazy. We've got lower rain chances all the way into Friday. Look out for a couple of scattered storms, though, this weekend. Waking up this morning as you head out the door, a little bit hotter than yesterday, so maybe a little less layers. 79 at Bush. It feels like 82, Jen. It's a hot day ahead.
All right, thank you.